Brigadier General Frank, Command Sergeant Major Stevens, Mrs. Martin, Mr. Sands, distinguished troopers, families, and friends of the Big Red One. On behalf of the 1st Infantry Division of Fort Riley, welcome to the March 2017 retirement ceremony. Each month, a ceremony is held to honor our military personnel who have served their country with distinction. Serving as the official party for today's ceremony is the Acting Senior Commander, 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley, Brigadier General Patrick D. Frank, and Acting Division Command Sergeant Major, 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley, Command Sergeant Major Jonathan D. Stevens. Units from the left to right, represented by the colors, are the Division Headquarters and Headquarters Battalion, the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division, the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division, Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Infantry Division, the Division Artillery, 1st Infantry Division, the 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. The installation and partner units are comprised of the United States Army Garrison, the medical activity at Fort Riley, the dental activity at Fort Riley. The case colors presented represent the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team deployed in support of the Korean Rotational Force and the Division Headquarters and Headquarters Battalion, the Division Artillery, along with the Combat Aviation Brigade, currently deployed in support of Operation Resolute Support and the Operation Freedom Sentinel. Please come forward at any time to take photographs except during the playing of the national anthem. After years of commendable service to their country, every career soldier comes to a time when they put aside their attire and retire, either to a new profession or a well-deserved rest. In today's ceremony, the men and women of the 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley will pay their tribute to these retirees and their families who have helped ensure the defense of this great nation during the most momentous period of its history. We ask that you please stand for the invocation given by the Family Life Chaplain, Chaplain Christian L. Goza, arrival of the official party, and the playing of the national anthem by the 1st Infantry Division Army Band under the direction of Staff Sergeant Kathy Jo Hitchman.
I'd like to invite you to pray in your tradition as I'll pray in mine. Thank you, Father, for the grace you give us to pursue our life's dreams. Thank you, Father, for this country that we may serve her for many years and pass the torch of Army values that past generations have given to us. Go before these retirees and their families to give them a peace about their new chapter in life. Lord, be with these soldiers and families as they begin this new chapter, and help them to build upon the values the Army has instilled upon them. Help them to stand tall in all they have accomplished, and may we say to them today, as you have said to us, well done, thou good and faithful servant. It's in your gracious name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the acting senior commander, 1st Division at Fort Riley, Brigadier General Patrick D. Frank.
Good morning, everybody. Great to see everybody out today. I'd asked the division staff when we were going to start our outdoor ceremonies, since good weather has finally hit us here at Fort Riley. Thank goodness it wasn't today that we were outside. Good infantry weather, but probably not good retirement ceremony weather. Mrs. Martin, wife of our commanding general, Major General Martin, who's leading the fight in Mosul, Iraq right now with our 1st Infantry Division headquarters. Man, good to see you today. Commissioner Sands, great to have you here as always. Commanders, Command Sergeant Majors, distinguished members of the Flint Hills community, and especially the family and friends of our retirees. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate the accomplishment of these exceptional soldiers and thank them for a career of selfless service to our Army and to our nation. My name is Pat Frank, and I am a Big Red 1 soldier, one that is proud that his duty is here today with these outstanding Army retirees. If you look at today's program, this is a unique group. Look at the ranks of these individuals that are here to retire in this ceremony today. These are majors, captains, first sergeants, and sergeant first classes. That's the group that we have here today. That's the group that runs the Army on a day-to-day basis. It's not general officers, it's not command sergeant majors, it's not colonels, it's majors, captains, first sergeants, sergeant first classes that do that. So this is a very special retirement ceremony today as we talk about what these individuals have done for us as an institution, as the Army, over the last 15 years. Our retiring soldiers have a combined total of 165 years of service. This staggering number is a reflection of the dedicated warriors that protect our nation and our way of life. Their experiences from day one of basic training through multiple combat deployments are the stories that they will tell their grandchildren, who will be exceptionally proud of their family's military service. Often, in these ceremonies, we talk about retirees who defended Central Europe from the Soviet Union during the Cold War, that conducted the devastating left hook that shocked Saddam Hussein's army in Operation Desert Storm. These were exceptionally important campaigns won by our Army and our nation, but today's retirees are the generation of leaders that have shouldered the burden of multiple deployments over 15 years of war since the attacks of 9/11. These volunteers have fought longer than any other American generation and have been on point for the nation in Afghanistan and Iraq, removing 2 oppressive regimes. They've taken a stand to dismantle the framework of terror established by Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and most recently, ISIL. Our retirees have written their own chapter in our U.S. history books. We are in awe of their demonstrated bravery on the battlefield and their patriotic commitment to duty. The officers and non-commissioned officers that we're honoring today have served in critical positions throughout the Army. Tough, demanding jobs that require great leaders. These positions were critical in peacetime and even more important now while we're in combat. Assignments like Company First Sergeant, and our first sergeants represent our senior echelon of non-commissioned officers. This is the reason why the U.S. Army is the most envied Army in the world. It's our non-commissioned officers. Battery commanders, Deputy Division G3, platoon sergeants, aviation safety non-commissioned officer, scout platoon leader, company commander, and even the Department of the Army Best Warrior. That's pretty old. The program you received today provides some interesting background on the information of our retirees. For instance, 5 of these individuals will remain with us here in Kansas. Additionally, I had the opportunity to talk to many of our retirees. Here are a few of their retirement activities. The universal response And retirees, this is exactly the right response, all right? So I got this from every one of the retirees. I plan on spending more time with my family. Good, check the block on that one. Maybe not so on this one. Ride motorcycles, grow a beard, and get a job. We got some motorcycle guys back here today too. Thanks for joining us, guys. All got a beard too, I see. Cool. Director of the Fort Riley USO. Give back to One ID soldiers and families. Get a job in Kansas City as a safety professional. Coach my son in Little League Baseball. I have not had the opportunity to do this. Financial advisor with Edward Jones here in Kansas. Used my GI 9/11 bill to attend nursing school in the fall of 2017. Spend time in the deer stand. I found a perfect spot in Training Area Charlie. Check it out. Pursue a career in supply chain management. Continue to support the soldiers of the 1st Infantry Division as a Kansas resident. Every soldier is committed to providing service to his or her new community. Their Army values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage will be immediately acknowledged in the volunteer organizations that they join. These are our newest civic leaders, based on their professional capabilities and leadership skills developed over 165 total years of service. As we pause to remember the careers of each retiree, we would be remiss if we did not thank each family. Whether spouse, children, brothers, sisters, or parents, the retirees are the strength of our Army. Their families sitting by their sides are the strength of our nation. It is not easy being an Army family, experiencing multiple household moves, several different schools, 15-month combat deployments, missed birthdays, proms, anniversaries, and graduations. Our military community represents less than 1% of the American population. But without the unique contributions of our family members, we could not have achieved the operational successes on the battlefield. Please join me in a well-deserved round of applause for these family members. To all today's retirees, you may be leaving the roles at Fort Riley, but your legacy will remain within the 1st Infantry Division. Each of you has led, trained, and mentored the next generation of U.S. Army soldiers. You have been a contributing member of the greatest military force in history, and you have liberated thousands of people from tyranny. Be proud of your accomplishments and the Army you have built through hard work. We wish you and your family the best in your future endeavors. Continue to live the division motto as civic leaders and Big Red 1 veterans. No mission too difficult, no sacrifice too great. Duty first. Thank you.
At this time, Command Sergeant Major Jonathan D. Stevens will join Brigadier General Frank for the awards portion of the ceremony. Our first retiree that we honor today is Major Scott M. Payne, who is retiring after 14 years of military service. Major Payne is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as Deputy G3 Division Headquarters and Headquarters of Battalion, 1st Infantry Division. Major Payne and his wife, Carolyn, have 3 children, Katie, Anna, and Stella. The Payne family will retire in Manhattan, Kansas, where he plans to become the director of the USO at Fort Riley. Today, Major Payne is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, a Certificate of Appreciation. All Army Certificates of Retirement presented today are signed by the Army Chief of Staff, General Mark A. Milley. Major Payne is also receiving a folded American flag. Brigadier General Frank is presenting an American flag and division coin to each retiree as a token of appreciation on behalf of a grateful nation for their selfless service in the defense of our liberty. Each retiree will also receive a lapel pin that they can wear on their civilian clothes. His wife Carolyn receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Major Scott M. Payne, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Scott M. Payne, retired, and family. Captain Scott A. Pint is retiring after 22 years of military service. Captain Pint is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as a DeVarty Current Operations Officer and Battery Commander for Headquarters Battery, DeVarty, 1st Infantry Division. Captain Pint and his wife Jennifer have 2 children, Brooklyn and Tristan. The Pint family will retire in Manhattan, Kansas, where he plans to ride motorcycles, grow a beard, and maybe get a job. Today, Captain Pint is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife Jennifer receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Captain Scott A. Pint, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Scott A. Pint, retired, and family. Captain Frida A. Blunt is retiring after 20 years of military service. Captain Blunt is commended for her outstanding service to the nation, culminating with her assignment as a support platoon officer and brigade operations liaison officer, Headquarters Company, Special Troops Battalion, 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Captain Blunt and her husband Scott have 3 children, Ramon, Sanaya, and Gabriella. The Blunt family will retire in St. George, Kansas, where she plans to attend nursing school in August of this year. Today, Captain Blunt is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. Her husband, Scott, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation for his dedication to his wife and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Captain Frida A. Blunt, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Frida A. Blunt, retired, and family. First Sergeant Shane R. Hansen is retiring after 21 years of military service. First Sergeant Hansen is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as First Sergeant Bravo Company, 601st Aviation Support Battalion, Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. First Sergeant Hansen and his wife Jennifer have 3 children, Caleb, Riley Ann, and Braden. The Hansen family will retire in Junction City, Kansas, where he plans to become a financial advisor with Edward Jones Investments. Today, First Sergeant Hansen is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife Jennifer receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, First Sergeant Shane R. Hansen, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Shane R. Hansen, retired, and family. First Sergeant Joshua E. Steinlicht is retiring after 22 years of military service. First Sergeant Steinlicht is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as First Sergeant, Gulf Company, 299th Brigade Support Battalion, 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. First Sergeant Steinlicht and his wife, Candace, have 4 children, Samantha, Adelia, Jadelyn, and Isaac. The Steinlicht family will be retiring in Manhattan, Kansas, where he plans to seek employment that will allow him to support soldiers at Fort Riley. Today, First Sergeant Steinlicht is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Candace, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, First Sergeant Joshua E. Steinlicht, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Joshua E. Steinlicht, retired, and Mrs. Steinlicht. First Sergeant Gerald D. Sidnor is retiring after 22 years of military service. First Sergeant Sidnor is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as First Sergeant Alpha Company, 299th Brigade Support Battalion, 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. First Sergeant Sidnor and his wife, Casey, have 4 children, Brenda, Duran, Garrett, and Annabelle. The Sidnor family will retire in Bluffton, South Carolina, where he plans to pursue a career in logistics and supply chain management. Today, First Sergeant Sidnor is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal for the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement and Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Casey, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, First Sergeant Gerald D. Sidnor, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Gerald D. Sidnor, retired, and Mrs. Sidnor. Sergeant First Class Jason J. Harris is retiring after 22 years of military service. Sergeant First Class Harris is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as Battalion Operations Sergeant Major, 299th Brigade Support Battalion, 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant First Class Harris and his wife, Cara, have 3 children, Jason, Caleb, and Brandon. The Harris family will retire in Junction City, Kansas, where he plans to enjoy his retirement by spending time with his wife and kids and doing some hunting and fishing. Today, Sergeant First Class Harris is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Cara, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant First Class Jason J. Harris, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Jason J. Harris, retired, and family. Our final retiree that we'll honor today is Sergeant First Class Chad B. Soborowski, is retiring after 22 years of military service. Sergeant First Class Soborowski is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the Battalion Aviation Safety Non-Commissioned Officer, 2nd General Support Aviation Battalion, 1st Aviation Regiment, Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant First Class Soborowski and his wife Kimberly have 2 children, Brittany and Tiffany. The Soborowski family will retire in Davenport, Iowa, where he plans to enjoy time with family, start his new position as Regional Safety Manager for the Okinawa Northern America Corporation. Today, Sergeant First Class Soborowski is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Kimberly, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and to the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant First Class Chad B. Soborowski, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Chad B. Soborowski, retired, and family. Please join me in a round of applause for all the retirees on a job well done. Please be seated. 2 songs will now be played. Old Soldiers Never Die and Old Lang Syne as a tribute to our retirees. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing and singing of the Big Red One song and the Army song. The words are printed on the inside of your program.
Those of the Army's favorite son, hail to the brave Big Red One, always the first to thirst for a fight. No foe shall challenge our right to victory. We take the field a great sight to see. Pride of the infantry, men of a great division, courage is our tradition. Forward the Big Red One. to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way, now off the cadence loud and strong. Wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. The retirees and their spouses will form a receiving line to your front. Please wait until they are all in position before coming forward to offer your congratulations. Thank you for attending. A reception hosted by the Fort Riley and Central Kansas chapter of the Association of the United States Army will take place immediately following the ceremony.